13th season. Here's their starting lineup, and as you see, it will be a 4-3-3 in this one today. Patton, as you see, the right back, has previously been a forward, but they've moved her to that right back spot. Diorio, Castaigne, and Hennessy up front for head coach Eric Bell. Meanwhile, for the SMU Mustangs, they make changes as well. And Lydia Ungashik is the biggest change. She's been a midfielder to start her college career, but she has moved to that right center back spot for today's game. We'll see how that goes for SMU. They've got Maura Hummel back in the starting lineup at right back, and Nieves, Rudden, and Broussard. Rudden back in the lineup after missing the last game and only playing 16 minutes against SFA. So Nicole Nelson, the head coach of the SMU Mustangs, trying to figure out early this season, especially as her team goes through injuries, exactly what it's going to take.
All the way back through the midfield into the defensive end to help out the back line all along anyway. So she has a defensive mindset. And on top of that, she's big, she's strong, she's fast. She has some tools that lend themselves to effective defending. Now you're kicking her in the deep end and asking her to play center back against TCU.
And here's Ungashik having to kick it away from Seven Castaigne to keep her from having a 1v1 against the keeper in that first big test. For Ungashik, she passes in a marquee spot against a great TCU team, a team receiving votes in the top 25. Their lone blemish this season at the hands of the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, a 4-0 loss. Other than that, it's been all shutouts for TCU so far this season as A.J. Hennessy gets pressured in the corner. And after all of that, it's kept alive by King. However, Horned Frogs are going to have another chance at it. And out front, it's Memoli feeding it out into space, and a lot of it for Evie Barker to get things going for the TCU Horned Frogs. TCU 7 in the last 7 matches against SMU is 5-1-1. If you take this back to the first 29 matches all time between SMU and TCU, SMU was 27-0-2 in their first 29 games against TCU, but the Horned Frogs have turned it around in recent memory thanks to Eric Bell and what he's been able to do in Fort Worth.
Eric Bell is a fantastic coach, and you're right. He has completely remade the TCU program. Talking to him a couple days ago, we asked him about that Notre Dame loss, and he was very upfront and said, look, we did not play TCU soccer that night. We didn't pass the ball particularly well, didn't tackle particularly well, but he was thrilled with the way his team responded. Next time out, they went to Central Michigan and didn't just shut out Central Michigan 3-0, but dominated every element of the stat sheet. Much more TCU-like performance.
For TCU, 3 of their last 4 have been on the road, including this one. That Central Michigan match at home, a 3-0 win. Central Michigan, by the way, going to Texas today and losing by a 2-0 margin. Other than that this season, it was a home win over number 20 Alabama to open up the year on the 15th of August. And after that 3-0 victory, they went to the Queen City of Charlotte and picked up a 3-0 win as well. 2 keepers this year for TCU. Olivia Geller is the freshman, but it is the graduate transfer from Minnesota who gets the start today in Megan Plaschko. Plaschko, who spent 4 years at Minnesota, one of their best keepers ever, earning the start today against a high-powered SMU team that's averaging 3.4 goals a match. That is top 10 in the nation at this point.
Yeah, and Coach Bell said he would love for one of these goalkeepers to really grab a hold of the job and make it her own. Until that happens, however, he has alternated between the two, and between Geller and Plaschko, he does have the luxury of 2 goalkeepers in whom he has a great deal of confidence. Feels very comfortable putting either one in the net, and but he's hoping to see one of them really step forward and claim the job.
A piece of good news for TCU in this one is that this game started at 11:59 p.m. Because all time under Eric Bell on Mondays, TCU was 0-2. And so with this game starting on Sunday, Eric Bell's team has a much better shot to win, obviously, if you look at the numbers.
So you're
That's the
saying if
kind
it
of
had
deep
started
dive.
a minute later, they should have just packed up and gotten on the bus and gone home.
Well, an 0-2 mark, how is anyone going to overcome that? Is if the TCU Horned Frogs and would have had to play or start this game on a Monday, it definitely would have not gone well for them. But the 11:59 start, it gives the Horned Frogs a chance in this one. That's all I'm saying.
Well, they overcame the, 27-0-2 head start that SMU got on the series.
That's a good point.
To turn into a very nice program in Fort Worth. I think they could have overcome one more minute's delay.
You make good points
Once
of
in
the
a
time.
while.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
To the best of our knowledge, the reason that this game had to start at 11:59 is because it was originally scheduled to be a 9 o'clock start. And so with that being the case, the NCAA rule is a 3-hour delay. You got to call it, and you got to play it on another day or figure something else out. And so that's why they started at 11:59 and not a minute after. Bella Diorio, who had a brace last time out against Central Michigan, dumps it back for Baker and really gives it a ride right into the waiting hands of Sierra Cotillard, who's coming off her first complete game shutout for the SMU Mustangs last time out.
Really powerful shot there, and you're right. Cotillard had plenty of time to see it from that distance and knew that there weren't any white jerseys too close ready to pounce on a rebound. So especially when you're playing a game on a wet field, and yes, they've been squeegeeing the grass, but there is some moisture for sure still on the field and therefore on the ball. And she did the wise thing and just knocked it down and then caught that ball off the bounce.
Did Byers reach it in time to earn a corner? Yes, she did, and just barely. How about that hustle by Truth Byers to knock it off of Grace Coppinger?
Yeah, Coppinger didn't agree that Byers got there in time, but Coppinger's not the one whose vote counts on these sort of disputes.
Wow, and just barely. So the first corner of the night will go SMU's way, and it stands to reason that these moments might be a little bit dicey because of the water in the corners here. A lot of squeegee work being done. There was a lot of water on this field. This one's drifted out to Salama. She makes the serve in. Hartman has a head on it, but guides it wide on SMU's first set piece of the morning.
You're absolutely right. There was significant water in the corners, particularly in the two corners on the near west side of the field. But also there were long stretches along the left side or the west side in front of the benches that had some water, and the staff did such a great job squeegeeing it off. But as the officials were checking the field to see if it was playable, they kicked the ball back and forth a few times and it would hit a spot and just stop. Or they dropped it and it wouldn't bounce at all.
Diorio cutting in and driving it low. Cotillard able to envelop it for her second save.
All things considered, compared to how the field looked 2 hours ago or 1 hour ago, it is remarkable how good it looks right now. But I think it's safe to say that at some point tonight, something will happen and we can look at that and say, you know, that's because of a big patch of water that maybe might not be so visible on camera, but there was so much water, it will impact the game in some way.
It was looking dicey for a long time there. And it became evident, though, that these two teams really wanted to play and they were going to do everything they could to make it happen. Salama giving a run after this one, but she won't reach it before Megan Plashko scrambles over to pick it up. Plashko, who, of course, because she grew up in Minnesota, also played ice hockey during her high school days.
I think that's required.
3 years of hockey. Yeah, she did her tour of duty. It's kind of like you get drafted in a foreign country or something like that. Diorio back up that left side. The serve into the box, and Ungashik eliminates it. SMU turns it around, but into Horned Frogs' possession. And TCU continues to attack. Up that right side, Cameron Patton, the 5'3" freshman, dancing over it. Part of this outstanding freshman class. And look at Sophie King nip at her and take it away from her left outside back position. And finally, a foul is eventually called against Cameron Patton. Oh no, they're going to give it to SMU's Eliana Salama. She tugged at the jersey of Patton. Patton did not have the advantage on that one, but it ends up going TCU's way.
She tugged at the jersey, but I can certainly see why Eliana Salama was upset. And you will see it right here as Patton also has a fistful of Salama's jersey. If anything, this was, I don't know, do you do it as a no call? I mean, you have to call one or the other. But each one, it was simultaneous fouls.
Fun little set piece for TCU. As Diorio sends it in. Oh, that ball was knocked down. Evidently not by a hand. This drive is just a little bit high by Oli Pena. Was tipped out for a corner, but Pena at 5'1", the senior from Irving, steps into one.
Pena absolutely cranked it, and Cotillard got up. That might have gone over the bar anyway.
And TCU on a very quick restart. SMU looking for an offside, but it does not come, and the Horned Frogs score their first of the night to go up 1-0 as Lauren Memely is on the board, her second goal of the season.
You see the quick restart tucked inside the box, and that's where the Mustangs were saying a player was offside, and Oli Pena. And nice job by Memely, simply reaching out and flicking the ball back behind her left leg with her right heel.
There will be a review of this, and the expanded review that had been ruled or had been voted on in the offseason does give the officials, both in the women's and the men's game, a chance to take a look at video review on possible offside calls on goals. And TCU assistant coach Ryan Higginbotham talking with our crew about what they saw. So this would be the touch, right? The Diorio to Pena touch.
Yeah, I think what it's going to come down to is whether Hartman or Ungashik was deemed even with Pena. Because here you see the replay, and she's clearly behind the defense.
I think.
Well, except Eliana Salama came running back in from the corner.
Okay.
She may have been close enough that they overrule it.
We may have to get one more look at that. So initially, it is a Memely. Oh, okay. So, yeah, we're going to have to see on Salama. You're exactly right.
All right, on second glance here, I think they could have an argument on Pena or Memely, but I'm not sure either one is going to be conclusive enough to overturn this goal.
Very bottom right of your screen, there's Salama. Ball played now, and so I think that Pena is onside based on Salama's position.
Right, but now look where Memely is.
Okay. Now,
Memely is behind the entire defense.
You're absolutely right. So where does this touch come?
From that angle, I think they have to overturn it. But again, Hartman's coming in from the backside, and we don't have the perfect angle that the line judge should have on the sideline. This may not be enough to overturn, but from that angle, I agree with you. I think Pena's onside here, or at least close enough to.
And at first we thought she was off, but evidently not. And then looking at the Memely play here, it just.
Yeah, and there's Hartman creeping in behind her.
And it's almost like you have to put 2 and 2 together if you're the crew here in order to overturn it, because you don't have a look just right down the line. So we'll see.
And again, what matters here now is if we're looking at Memely, it's where is Hartman when Memely gets the ball from Pena. So
and it looked like Hartman was trying to communicate that her back line should hold.
From that, yes. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, right when she was at the 6, she let out a big scream as if she was saying, hey, hold your line. They're in an offside position.
From that image that was just frozen there for a second.
Yep, it is an offside call. The goal is taken off the board.
By the ACC network cameras.
Wow.
And I think it was when Pena played the ball to Memely. Memely was about a half a step beyond Hartman coming in from the backside, and I think that's where the distinction, where the position was set that led to this offside call.
So SMU survives that quick restart, and what would have been a go-ahead goal for TCU, the opener tonight, as we are a little over 10 minutes in. Again, along with Steve Lansdale, I'm John Little for another meeting, crosstown rivalry matchup between SMU and TCU. Of course, as this will go back over to TCU, SMU moving to the ACC in the offseason. TCU been in the Big 12 for a while, but it makes it an all-Power 4 matchup this morning, in Dallas. It's got to be one of the latest starts for a college soccer game in quite a while.
I can't remember ever starting at midnight. I remember a game, I don't know, a dozen years ago, let's say, that started a little after 11. But right at midnight, 11:59, that's I think that's a new record for me, at least.
I agree. For me too, as SMU looks for a little bit of room, and on the give and go, SMU is going to pull back at least for a moment, get it to Rudden, but Diorio is going to take it away, and Maura Umel nips back to take it for SMU. SMU has had a couple chances early, including a corner early on in this matchup. Also, Eliana Salama had a nice run. What TCU head coach Eric Bell told us before this game was, here's the key. Our front line just has to be better than their back line. If we do that, we're going to be fine. And that was his key in today's action, is to see if his front line, Diorio, Castaigne, Hennessy, and the backups could take advantage of SMU's back line.
And Castaigne is the headliner for sure, but he has a really strong front line across the board. And they're going to be better than a lot of defensive lines that they face this year. And yes, they certainly need to have a performance tonight that falls into that category.
Little play on, long ball for Nieves, and a throw-in coming for SMU, as it's guided away by Maddie Mooney, the senior from Seattle, in her second year as a player at TCU after transferring in from Notre Dame. Umel on the throw-in.
TLB, we got one TLB. Only here, up.
Not much there for SMU. Of course, we spotlighted Liz Eddy off the top at right wing for the SMU Mustangs, who has 3 goals on the season. Look at Salama chase back and run right up and into Hennessy. She's going to pick up a foul on the play. However, just the extreme speed that Salama brought helped stop that play from being a bigger deal for TCU.
And that's the kind of effort that can be kind of contagious. I mean, Eliana Salama always is in the conversation on the offensive end, whether she's scoring goals or setting up her teammates. But when one of your most dynamic and productive offensive players hustles back to help on the defensive end, that kind of effort can carry over to the rest of her teammates.
Diorio's serve all the way in to Sierra Cotillard. Cotillard had her best outing of her young SMU career last time out in a 2-0 win over Little Rock. SMU prior to that taking down SFA 3-2 right after a 6-3 loss at the hands of a high-powered Texas club. Well, good play by Hennessy, exchanging with Diorio, throwing it out front, and now Oli Pena gets to join the fray as an attacking mid. Diorio on the right foot, and she has it blocked by Maura Umel.
Nice job by Umel, not just blocking it, but blocking it right as Diorio hit the ball, and therefore really snuffing out the chance for a follow.
Yeah, Diorio may have gotten hit up top by the ball there, and so she goes down to a knee. Diorio coming off her first career brace after an outstanding high school career at Lockport, Illinois, and playing for the Lockport club. Let's see what happened here. Yeah.
I think they bumped heads.
She stuck her head in, and See where Diorio realizes that she may be a little worse for wear.
She caught Liz Eddy in the back of the head as both of them were going for the ball. Obviously no malicious intent by either one of them. But when the back of your head hits the front of someone else's, it's usually the face that's going to be the worse for the wear. She doesn't seem to be bleeding. That's a good sign for sure.
Absolutely. Diorio, an outside back for TCU last season. No goals and 4 assists after an All-American career at the club level. And they really challenged her in the offseason, and she had a fantastic spring. Looks like she's going to stay in the match.
Yeah, she's got to come off for a moment since the trainer came out on the field, but she's already at the midfield line ready to check back in as soon as she's waved in by the referee.
You can see Lake Washburn there that has formed tonight thanks to all the rain we got. And I would call it a partial man-made lake just because of all of the squeegeeing done off toward that end of the field. But man, it's a lot of outstanding work done by assistant coaches and by all kinds of people here at SMU that really wanted to get this game in order to make this field playable. And so they had just hundreds of square feet to try to squeegee off just to have a chance to get this game underway here tonight.
You sometimes see, you know, if you watch a tennis match where there's been rain, you'll see squeegees there. Now multiply the size of a court by however many times you have to multiply to get to a soccer field. It really was a pretty Herculean effort by this SMU support staff.
Sarah Brocious stepping her way in, and a clear offside as SMU was able to induce Cameron Patton, the freshman out of Austin, behind the line.
The Mustangs clearly are interested in playing a little offside trap when they can, because this TCU front line has so much speed. That is, of course, a very risky tactic, because if you don't quite catch someone offside, then they're going in one-on-one with your goalkeeper. But so far, they've gotten it a couple of times, and it's worked.
Byers serves it across and then trying to get back after it. And it's poked into space by Grace Coppinger, just making sure she got rid of it. SMU with a quick restart. Rudden, off that hard tackle, loses the ball. And Sophie King slides it into touch to not let Seven Castaigne catch up with it.
Yeah, nice recovery by King after Rudden had been bumped off, and she could have maybe played it off of Castaigne, but with a player that talented, you don't want to take any chances, and King was right to just knock it into touch.
See what TCU can get going here. Cameron Patton, as a freshman, led Vandergrift High School in the Austin area all the way to a state championship, and then really concentrated on her club career after that. Horned Frogs with a heavy first touch near the corner, and Hummel takes it away. How do you think the field is held up so far, and where are you seeing this game look a little bit different based on the field conditions as Ungashik sends it back out to midfield and Salama runs onto it?
All things considered, I think it's held up remarkably well. There have been a couple of times where the ball hits what had to be sort of a wet spot and skids a little bit.
Sophie King has played some clean soccer over the last few years. And King, the junior, who didn't have a card all of last year, hadn't had one this year, earns one for tugging thrice at Cameron Patton.
She did get her money's worth on that one. Really slowed her down, which, of course, was the objective.
King had a red card and 3 yellows in her freshman season, but cleaned it up last year. No cards at all. And this season had gone 5 games before picking up her first yellow. TCU thought they had gotten on the board. The ball found the net from Lauren Memley, but a play was ruled offside after a video-assisted review. It was a nice combo play off a quick restart. Diorio finding Pena, who shoved it down to Memley to get things going for the Horned Frogs, but again, it got overturned. SMU still looking for that first fantastic chance, and maybe it will be Eliana Salama. Salama attracting 3 defenders and dispossessed in the process by Oli Pena. And Hennessy goes down hard. I tell you, even though this game has started 3 hours late and it started at midnight, just pretty incredible how spirited of a start it's been between the two teams. They're not just sleepwalking into this thing. They have come with a great deal of effort.
This is a non-conference game for the Mustangs and the Horned Frogs, but don't believe for a second that they're indifferent about the outcome. These are teams that, look, the schools have a rivalry in every sport. They're only 30 or 40 minutes apart. And a lot of the players on both teams grew up playing with each other, playing against each other. This is about bragging rights. Does this game impact the conference standings in the ACC or the Big 12? No. But this game is important to these teams, and they're going to play like it.
TCU missed the NCAA tournament for the first time in a long time. They had 7 straight NCAA tournaments under Eric Bell, 2016 to 2022, before missing out last year. Myers runs after this one. And so they know how big every single game can be when you're trying to make it as an at-large team. Long vertical ball. And Diorio is in and just off that left side post. Diorio trying to get the scoring started for the Horned Frogs and nearly made it happen.
Castaigne is the headliner, but Diorio is absolutely a dangerous threat. She has serious wheels. She gets behind Mackenzie Rudden here, and as Sierra Cotillard comes out to try to cut off that angle, Diorio missed by inches as that ball glanced off the outside of the goalpost.
Very similar to her first goal in the first minute against Central Michigan, except she was a little bit more wide open on that one. That opened up her scoring, and that may just, really help her to make her career blossom, at least from the scoring perspective, as they moved her up from the outside back spot to a forward spot. And obviously Diorio paying dividends here as Salama goes down a little bit awkwardly. It bounces right back up as she normally does. The 5'3" junior out of Pembroke Pines, Florida, has undoubtedly been the best player for SMU in the early going this season.
She has been, and you're right, at 5'3", she's one of the smaller players on the field, but she's also very, very tough. She's going to draw tons of attention from pretty much every team that the Mustangs play. But to your point, she absorbs a lot of contact, and then somehow she just bounces right back up.
Eddie with a rare touch. Eddie coming off a game where he had 6 shots, but dispossessed here as Evie Baker takes it away. The freshman, that vertical ball once again in the direction of Seven Castaigne, but she wasn't onside, and so Diorio runs onto it, tries to center it in front. And TCU will have a corner kick thanks to that long vertical pass from Evie Baker after her takeaway.
Nice recovery by Lydia Ungashik after Diorio had just run right past Maura Hummel.
Again, Diorio. Diorio not able to run back onto it. Ricochets in the air. Winnable ball for both sides. Who wants it more? And it ends up into Cotillard, who tries to start things out to Liz Eddy with a long pass.
Nice throw by Cotillard. I mean, if you're struggling to build the transition through that middle third, if you can throw it over the top and get the ball to your target, then the Mustangs can allow the reinforcements to arrive.
Here comes Rudden. Nice feed to the edge, and Sammy Nieves lining it up. Nieves serves it up top. It's flicked out, however, off one touch by Grace Coppinger. And TCU turns it back to try to play into possession, and now One vertical ball up to Diorio. Trades paint with Hummel, and yet another stoppage. This after a quick thought by Amin Hadzik, our referee. He does indicate this is a foul going against SMU.
And Diorio looked pretty upset after that collision with Hummel. Bounced up and was trying to help the officials make that call. Ended up getting one, so she agreed with their choice, with their interpretation of what happened.
My temper's a little bit short after midnight as well, so I totally get it.
I'm going to slide my seat down a little further then.
Yeah, give me some space here. And a little more for my ego, please. Thank you. Oh, wow, what a takedown from behind. There's going to be a card here. It is a yellow shown to TCU after a awkward takedown of Lou Brousseau in the open field. Let's see.
And that is Memoli, I think. Oh, no, it's not.
No, it's Matty Mooney. Just tugs that left shoulder and in the process gets Brousseau all the way down to that wet turf.
There's always going to be some pushing and pulling and tugging during games, but when you yank someone to the ground like that, it's hard to get away without a card.
Salama going for the vertical ball. Gets knocked back at her. Now Nieves out wide. And this ball slotted in for Byers. Back to Salama. One touch out front. She was looking for Nieves. It's ricocheted back out, and SMU stays in possession for now. Rudden does a full spin, looking for somewhere to go. Salama able to keep it off the touch line, and a throw in for SMU thanks to number 9's effort.
Yeah, nice hustle by Salama, but in doing so, she played it right to A.J. Hennessy, and lucky for Salama and the Mustangs, Hennessy wasn't able to keep it in bounds.
Salama goes down, no foul given, and is Salama hurt? Evidently so, as Hadzik will come back to take a look at the SMU offensive player. And you can see just how much wet grass is sticking to these players on a night like tonight.
And you see her cutting back away from a defender, and then she gets a shoulder from Memoli, and Memoli's arm got up around Salama's shoulder and neck, but that's not the point where she's feeling the discomfort, as she's getting medical attention on that left ankle as she fell kind of awkwardly.
For SMU, without Nia Rose right now, and by the way, congratulations to Nia Rose, who opened up the U20 FIFA World Cup for Canada with a brilliant opening goal in their first match taking on France. And it was a draw, 3-3. And Rose had a brilliant goal in that one just 4 minutes in. But without that offensive threat, Salama is so key to this SMU team. And so, obviously, there are moments of concern whenever she goes down.
And she's taken on really more of an elder statesman role up front, because you've got young players up there in Truth Byers and Liz Eddy and the rest. And so Salama is not only trying to score and create scoring chances, but she's also making sure people are lined up right and in making the right runs. And she has really benefited from that role as sort of a mentor to the younger offensive players.
And the good news after all that is that Salama is ready to come right back in for the SMU Mustangs. So after retying that left shoe, we are 25 minutes in. TCU and SMU scoreless so far. They played a tight one last year. A 1-0 win for the Horned Frogs, as Cotillard reaches this one first. Just a single goal for the Horned Frogs in that one. A.J. Hennessy got the assist. Gracie Bryan the goal to give TCU that victory a year ago. TCU starting out as the number 9 team in the country last season and getting that season opening win over the SMU Mustangs, who would go on to be road warriors last year. Only 6 home matches, and this is already SMU's 6th home match of the season after only playing 6 last year. TCU going into the bench for the first time as Jenny Emathun comes on, the 5'5" junior midfielder from San Jose, California. And also Caroline Kelly. She is a grad transfer from St. Louis. She scored 31 goals as a Billiken and already has one this season for the TCU Horned Frogs in her 4 appearances.
Anytime you can add someone who scored 31 goals, I don't care what level that's at, it means you have someone who has a nose for the goal and will add to the production on your offensive end.
By the way, Morgan Brown in as well, wearing number 19. You see her with the single braided ponytail in the middle of the field, a 5'9" freshman out of Wiley and played at FC Dallas. It is amazing, Steve, the freshman class that TCU brought in. 14 freshmen this year, and highly ranked freshmen too. This was the number 9 class by Top Drawer Soccer this season.
Yeah, this wasn't just a matter of quantity this was quantity and quality. Eric Bell and his staff done a great job of identifying and recruiting exceptional players to Fort Worth.
Measuring this one up, but not able to keep it in her spot is Caroline Kelly. Oli Pena plays it to herself, looking to create, wings it out wide, and Hennessy tries to turn the corner against Salama, giving that push, and yet another foul on Eliana Salama in a physical game this morning from Dallas. And yes, if you are watching on Labor Day morning, you are watching us live here on the ACC Network Extra. It's like TCU really wants to go quick on their restarts. Hennessy, the serve, across, and punched out, but it is still alive. Hartman on the ground, but it's not cleared, deflected away, and a corner on the way. Oli Pena looked like she was inches away from making it 1-0.
Yeah, Oli Pena absolutely cranks this shot. It gets pinballed around a little bit. Out to Pena, and then I think that is Ungashik, who's been tested 3 or 4 times already and has been up to the task each time.
Making her first career start at a center back spot, the holding midfielder, the freshman, Ungashik, so far has helped SMU stay in this one. And for the Mustangs, they're welcoming Paxton Bach back to the field. She started the first 3 matches of the season, the freshman out of Scottsdale, Arizona, but she left the Texas game with a knock, didn't play in the last 2. She's out there at right outside back as she comes in for Hummel. And you also saw number 24, Emma Alvord, for the first time for SMU, a sophomore from Denton who can really run.
Yeah, I was going to say, Emma Alvord is kind of like the Mustangs version of Diorio in that she can run right past many of the defenders who line up in front of her, and just with that sheer speed can create some defensive mismatches for opponents.
16 minutes left first half. Here goes a vertical ball. Hartman trying to run onto it, but Castaigne is there trying to center it, and Hartman got enough of it just to guide it into Sierra Cotillard to eliminate another TCU chance.
Really nice job by Hartman, not just to run step for step, but also to maybe bump just a little bit enough of a shoulder to slow the cross down, and as you said, let it roll harmlessly into Cotillard.
Good save by Morgan Brown. Pena back to Brown, trying to reverse the field with a great ball out left side to Baker. Slides it down, looking at it now is Caroline Kelly. Kelly back to Baker for the chip in, headed out by Ungashik, but not a full clearance. Kelly maneuvering in, and she has it punched away from her. Salama will win this race for SMU.
Nice job by Salama, not only poking it toward the touchline, but then circling around and getting in front of Cameron Patton, realizing she probably wasn't going to be able to turn the corner on Patton, so she slowed up and intentionally played it off of Patton's shin out of bounds, getting a throw in for the Mustangs.
would not say that SMU is thriving tonight, certainly in survival mode so far. 6 shots for TCU, none yet officially for SMU, but the Mustangs have had their moments, and here's Salama looking for another one, but she attracts so much attention. And good team defense by the Horned Frogs, including Jenny Imethune, to punch it away.
Exactly. She started with Patton on her shoulder, and then Morgan Brown closed in quickly, and then Imethune. By the time that ball was played away, there were 3 Horned Frogs circling around Eliana Salama.
Double. Go, DJ. Up. Up.
Salama really playing a lot on that left wing today. We've also seen her in a striker position this year. She can play the right wing if she needs to. Also can create from the midfield as well. But so far, SMU has liked that matchup on the left side of the field for SMU.
She's a very versatile player, and you know, we can talk all we want about how she's listed at 5'3", but Nicole Nelson and her staff would take a team full of Eliana Salamas. She can do so many things from so many different angles on the field.
And Baker with another run. I think she's really been good in this one. The 5'6" freshman, left outside back from Fort Worth, playing in her hometown. Also played at FC Dallas. Now Imethune looking for Brown. TCU setting something up here in possession, and then that one vertical pass to get things going. This one cannot be held along the touchline by Cameron Patton. 3 saves so far for Sierra Cotillard. Cotillard coming off the shutout last time out. And this little flick on for TCU. Hennessy advancing forward, maneuvering left, trying to dump it off to Caroline Kelly. But SMU's going to win the race as Paxton Bach plays it out near midfield.
Nice job by Paxton Bach chasing that ball down and sending it upfield after Hartman did a nice job engaging a little bit of contact but not getting a whistle, because where they made contact was right outside the top of the 18, which would have been a very, very dangerous place had a free kick been awarded.
Stop me if you heard this before. TCU bringing on a freshman, Abigail Cox out of Portland, wearing number 29. She's played in all 5 now. She's a former Oregon Gatorade Player of the Year. And after the foul sending Kelly to the dirt, restart for the Horned Frogs.
It is not your first time saying that, and I feel fairly comfortable saying it won't be your last time saying that tonight.
We will continue to lean heavily. Lauren Memely, her goal earlier got wiped off. Memely's serve all the way in, and near post Sierra Cotillard on the restart with the rollout to Paxton Bach, playing for the first time in more than a week.
You know, that serve into the box ended up bouncing up into Sierra Cotillard's hands, and it was long too, from 40, 45 yards out. Obviously, Memely has a very, very strong leg, and it wasn't a bad idea to do it that way because, again, there are wet spots on this ground, and that could be the kind of ball that Cotillard looks at and thinks, all right, I've got this measured up, and then it could skip past her if it hits a wet spot. Not a bad idea for these teams, both teams, to take some chances from distance and see if you can hit a wet spot and catch a goalie a little bit off balance.
Yeah, no more rain on the radar. I wonder if the field's going to get better as we go because it dries out, or if it's just going to get worse because it's going to get churned up. That's interesting. Maddie Mooney plays it out wide. Baker's gone the whole way in that first half. TCU says they're trying to figure out their defense. Their defense has looked great so far. This ball into Abigail Cox, but she was offside. And kind of a late flag, especially considering SMU had already made contact with the ball before the flag came up. But
yeah. Hartman stuck her foot out and does get a toe on this right there. You see it change direction.
Man, I don't know if Cox was offside.
I think if the ball had gone through untouched, she's definitely offside. but the contact by Hartman.
Misplay, and Salama's on it. Salama looking for that first shot, and she does. Test Plashko, who is equal to it. Salama just trying to put some kind of production on goal for SMU.
Yeah, and I think Salama may have caught a little bit of turf as she was teeing up that shot, because she certainly didn't rip it like you know she can.
And she's 1-on-4 with no help.
Right, she's 1-on-4 with no help, but she didn't have as much power on it as she often does, and she got up sort of kicking her toe a little bit into the ground, and I wonder if she stubbed her toe on the way into that shot.
Perhaps. Cox induced to back up a bit with 9 minutes left in the first half, and Horned Frogs looking for that opener. They've had 6 shots, 3 have been on goal. Hartman trying to hold off the defense. However, Cox inside, Pena, and now 7, Chastain reaches it, and Chastain wings it wide. Chastain running onto it, and a little bit frustrated that she was not able to guide that one, at least on goal.
That's one where Chastain would have been well served to have maybe one more touch, because as you see in the replay there, her body, her momentum was going away from the goal. And when that happens, it's very difficult to then turn and hook the shot back on frame, and it got a little bit away from her outside that left post.
Tori Peterson on for SMU for the first time, and talking to Nicole Nelson, she says Peterson's looking like she's returning to form after suffering through an injury that caused her to only to play 15 games last year for SMU, but only make 1 start, and definitely did not look like the player that she did her freshman year, but may be starting to come around here in her junior season. That one skied away.
Yeah, her freshman year, she and Sophie King had sort of rotated at the left outside back spot and were, I won't say interchangeable, but they were both very productive. And then, as you said, last year she was dinged up and not quite the same player, but if she can return to form the way she was, she'll be a very nice addition to that defense.
SMU has brought in number 16, Kelly Gordon. Gordon, the freshman, already has 2 goals this season on just 4 attempted shots. That's quite a percentage. Bach runs onto this one. Salama up the wall. Here's Alvord. Alvord running in, touching it inside. Little heel flick, and it is wide. But a really nice idea, as Kelly Gordon had it caught behind her, and Gordon looking for an incredible goal if she was able to serve this one in.
Kelly Gordon trying to do exactly what Memoli did at the other end on the goal that was waved off, stepping over the ball and then flicking it behind herself with a heel. And in this case, for Gordon, it was just a little bit wide, but you're right. We saw Emma Alvord just blow past the TCU defense to get that cross. She and Diorio both have kind of rare speed that is very hard to compensate for schematically.
Plashko none too pleased that there was a chance against her, especially with Alvord's speed, something you've got to be aware of. I don't know if you caught it, but definitely looked like Patton had a fistful of jersey on Kelly Gordon while she was in the box, but not enough to get any kind of foul that would lead to a penalty kick opportunity for SMU this morning. This game started 3 hours late because of rain and then lightning, of course. Here's Patton cutting in. Patton leaves it back for Hennessy, or rather for Chastain, turning on it and dumping it back for Morgan Brown. SMU pursuing well, and the Horned Frogs have to go all the way back to their keeper, Plashko, to get it going again.
Yeah, and for the Horned Frogs, playing it back, taking a conservative, smart approach like this, not a bad idea. Much of the first half has been played in front of the SMU goal. They will have plenty of chances going forward. And so for the Horned Frogs to be patient and try to set up stretching out this defense by switching fields, as you see right now, it's a wise approach as you try to open up lanes, passing lanes, and lanes to run through.
77-degree morning here in Dallas. Humidity at 85% as we've had a ton of rain.
Only 85%?
Absolutely. Taking it away here is Pena, and as she leans into one, it gets blocked back by Hartman, but it stays in the Horned Frogs' possession with another chance. TCU hunting that first goal. Out wide, Kelly chips it in, and a corner on the way for TCU with 4.5 left in the opening half.
You're fine.
Yeah, here you see the shot, and it gets Hartman right in the back of the leg, and the Mustangs are fortunate that it did because she really gave that a ride. It's hard to tell from that angle where Sierra Cotillard was, but had it been headed toward one of the corners, that likely would have found the back of the net.
Pena's serve, punched out. The volley toward the goal gets Hartman right in the stomach. See that she went down immediately, and
she just doubled up.
it's the kind that makes you lose your breath for sure.
Absolutely. You talk about getting the wind knocked out of you. On that play, it literally got knocked out of her. You see Cotillard punch the ball free, and then here's Memoli with a one-timer right into Hartman's gut, and she goes down like a folding chair. Fortunately for SMU, number 4 is able to shake that off.
She'll have that imprint there, be able to show people the rest of this week. But now a big smile on the face of the center back for the SMU Mustangs, and that is good to see for them. 3:40 to play in the opening half. After a very late start, Salama goes down. No foul given. And again, space for Baker. He's been in good form here in the first half. Part of this TCU back line that Eric Bell is trying to build at this point in the season. They have put together 3 shutouts. They just had that defensive breakdown against a very good Notre Dame team that frustrated them. The flick toward Cox does not make it through. Castaigne trying to chase it down. And SMU's Hartman sends it away.
Yeah, Hartman was ushering that ball to the touchline, hoping it would just run out of bounds, and she was going to stick her body between the ball and Castaigne, but it was slowing down. Did it slow down because the turf is extra soft with all the water? Hard to say, but it slowed down to the point that she had to just give up the pretense of getting the throw in and make sure to keep the ball away from Castaigne.
TCU looking for another chance. They're not going to get one here, though. Salama has a player on her right. It's Gordon. Salama slots it in rather late, rather to Nieves. Has it blocked back, but Salama's back on it. It rolls to Nieves. Look at the spin on that ball. Sends it all the way across. Gordon on the chase. And the right back, Cameron Patton, is there to send it back up the field. And it ends up getting past Rudden. Castaigne trying to start something on the counter for the Horned Frogs.
Nice offensive chance there as Salama found Gordon, and then the rebound off of Salama's blocked shot getting back to Gordon, but then that cross, a little too tall, allowing the Horned Frogs to come the other way.
Kelly tackled hard, but on a clean play by Bach. Stays with the Horned Frogs. Still looking for that opening goal. Would-be goal by Memoli. Wiped off on review. It was offside. Here's the drive in. Little punch through. Castaigne has it in the box. Turns back onto her left foot. Plays it out front, and it's taken away by SMU. As Nieves tried to feed Alvord, just could not get it to her cleanly. Baker takes over. Baker drives in. Nobody's stopping ball, if you will. Peterson finally does. And now Nieves turns on it, but has Caroline Kelly take it right back with a minute left in the half. A lot of possession here for TCU, this dangerous offensive team. A minute left in the half.
A lot of possession is right. You hear some teams talk about absorbing the other team's best punch. So far, the Mustangs have absorbed TCU's best punch through 44 minutes, but they have got to figure out a way to tilt the field a little bit and get more chances of their own in the offensive end.
Payne with a good idea, but Hartman sent it back on the header. Sophie King turns it away. 30 seconds left in the half. Again, TCU, a better run of play and looking for that goal. Baker outside. Kelly trying to serve it in, and on the deflection right in on Cotillard. 13 seconds left in the half. Cotillard was looking for a way to start a counter back the other way, but instead she'll just try to let the half run out, and she will on that final fling. And at the break, TCU thought they got on the board. Lauren Memley found the back of the net in a matchup. So far, TCU has dominated the possession game. John Little alongside Steve Lansdale, and of course, talking to Eric Bell, the head coach at TCU. And he was talking about how good his defense has been, that Notre Dame matchup notwithstanding. It's been overall team defending. And for him, that's not just when you don't have the ball, that's having the ball. That's part of defense. Obviously, the opponent cannot score if they don't have it, and that's a big reason why TCU has been able to hold opponents down over the last few years. Cutting in from the right side and going down on a slide is A.J. Hennessy, and a foul is called on SMU here. Really nice chance for a free kick, but Hennessy slides to a stop. Let's see what King did here.
Yeah, you see her cut back against the grain, and King gets her left foot out and clips Hennessy on the knee.
Remember, King is sitting on a yellow. Hennessy, the 5'2" junior from Norco, California, played for Legends FC. Ready to go, but Bella Diorio standing over it. Certainly would seem she's going to be the one to serve. And some creative set pieces from Eric Bell's side so far as TCU tries to get on the board. Diorio steps over it this time. The drive by Kelly is way up top and out of play.
You mentioned the Horned Frogs in their possession. When we talked to Coach Bell about what flipped between a 4-0 loss to Notre Dame and a 3-0 victory against Central Michigan, he didn't talk about Bella Diorio's goals or the shutout. He talked about possession. He talked about passing. He talked about the things that make up what he views as real TCU soccer. And if you get the possession and the passing right, the goals will come as a byproduct of playing the game the right way. And they did against Central Michigan.
Eddie up top to Nieves, just could not hold it. And Bach gets in the air like she was going after it, and then when Diorio made contact, Bach ended up going through Diorio, and our lead official, Amin Hadzig, wants to talk with Bach. Hasn't reached into the pocket quite yet, but does insist that that's the last we're going to see of that, as you see Bach went up high there with the knee to the back of Diorio.
She got a knee right between or just below Diorio's shoulder blades, and honestly, I mean, Hadzig would have been justified if he had pulled out a yellow card. That's the kind of play where somebody can get hurt, but I am always a fan of referees who can keep control of a game without reaching into their pocket any more than they absolutely have to. So tip of the hat to Amin Hadzig. He told Bach and expressed that kind of thing, as you said, that kind of thing is not going to fly in this game, and hopefully that message will ring loud and clear with both teams.
There's been one caution either way. One issued to Sophie King, the outside back for the SMU Mustangs, and one on the side of the Horned Frogs as well in this one, as Maddie Mooney picked one up. SMU trying to create some sustained offense, but it just has not been there for this Mustang team. Only one shot. It did get on goal back in the first half. It came from Eliana Salama, who kind of was in a surprise 1-on-4 situation against the TCU back line and cranked a quick shot on goal that Plashko had to lunge out for. Meanwhile, Sierra Cotillard has been able to keep a clean sheet despite really being tested early and often in this matchup.
TCU is simply a fast team, and I don't just mean a bunch of sprinters who could run out as a as an 11-person relay team here, but they play fast.
Yeah.
They pass quickly. They pass the ball hard and precisely, so the ball does a lot of the work. And so when the Frogs get out on a fast break here, they are able to string together passes and get the ball to different portions of the field in a hurry. And when the ball's doing the work, it's very difficult for opposing teams to chase.
It's an excellent point. Steve Lansdale, I'm John Little. Bella Diorio to the top of the box, feeds it inside. Caroline Kelly. Kelly, what a slide from behind by Ungashik to save a shot on goal. And a point-blank opportunity for a player that scored 32 goals in her career.
And how about Lydia Ungashik, a freshman recruited as a midfielder, makes this beautiful slide, and right after she popped up, there was her goalie giving her a big hug. It wasn't just, hey, nice play. That was a genuine thank you from Sierra Cotillard.
Easy play on the half clearance for SMU as that one came up a little bit short. But Diorio's back on it. Yeah, Ungashik playing that holding midfield spot for the first 5 games of this season. In some cases, a player that Nicole Nelson has not been able to bring off the field at all. But thanks to injuries across the back line, SMU putting Ungashik at a center back position right now. And looks like she's gotten better as the night has worn on, as Rudden gets fouled from behind by Cameron Patton.
She has, and she has played some center back at previous stages in her career. But as you said, this is her first time on the back line as a collegiate player, and she has acquitted herself very, very well. I think her performance tonight through 50 minutes has to be one of the highlights for the Mustangs, as they may have come across someone who can really hold down a job back there.
Yeah, Byers trying to run on to Maddie Mooney, who had misplayed that one. And again, it's a slick surface. It's a little bit of an interesting surface tonight because it took on a lot of water over a 2-hour period between about 9 o'clock and 11 o'clock, and then the squeegees were applied just to get it playing ready. But it is still very wet out there and soggy in some spots. And for the second time in this game, an SMU player goes down thanks to taking the ball in the midsection. This time it's Mackenzie Rudden.
Mackenzie Rudden already missed a little time a couple weeks ago, and she is such an integral part of what the Mustangs do. She is what Nicole Nelson calls a box-to-box midfielder, doing so much work between the 18s, often not showing up in the stat sheet. But she really changes everything the Mustangs are able to do in the midfield, both in transition offense and transition defense. So to see her go down certainly caused a bit of bated breath on the SMU bench, but good to see number 8 back on her feet.
Yeah, she was playing through an ankle injury. Finally got a day off against Little Rock. Didn't end up playing against Little Rock, but SMU thankful to have her back out there. On the takeaway by SMU, TCU called for the foul here as it's whistled against AJ Hennessy. And this is about the best free kick chance that SMU has had today, and it's not anywhere near the goal, but that says a lot. Here's Ungashik serving it in, and it bounces all the way in near post to Megan Plashko.
And that was just like the one Memoli took toward the end of the first half from roughly the same distance as well. And on a shot like that or on a serve like that, maybe you do get lucky and it hits a bit of a wet spot. When you play on a field that has been so heavily saturated as the field here at Washburn Soccer and Track Stadium was prior to the game, it's not just where it's wet, it's inconsistency. There will be some places where the ball will skid. There will be other places where the ball comes to a stop because it's muddy and chewed up a little bit.
Brocious gets it back, tries to slide it toward the goal. A nice job by Bach to force her wide for an SMU kick.
Nice job by Brocious running onto this wall pass, and maybe would have been better served for just one other small touch to slow the ball down.
Look at that streak that was made by the cleat. That shows you just how wet this turf is.
Right, she slid 10 yards, carved up the grass.
I know, she really needs to get better at fixing her divots out there, don't you think?
if she had to fix her own divots, she'd still be working on it. There's a trench down there.
Here comes Liz Eddy, her first real chance. Eddy slots it across in the direction of Byers. Onto Nieves' foot. It goes off of Byers. Salama backing it up and looking to create. This is where she loves to go, but Salama turned around, and there was Patton right there to play it away.
But we talked about the Mustangs needing to string some passes together to get some chances in the offensive third, and they have done that. They've gotten a little bit of possession. They got one shot from a long, long distance, but they have gotten some play in the TCU end.
Haley Hartman going to be called for this one, and she may have said something to Amin Hadzig in frustration. Because obviously she didn't like the call, but it's just simply a foul, and Hadzig's not going to take much more dissent from the SMU side, evidently. Bella Diorio cutting in against the freshman. Feeds it out front. Hennessy. Back out to Oli Pena. Pena had one of the better chances in the first half. A shot that was going to curl just underneath the crossbar, but sent away by Sierra Cotillard. She has that quick first step. Pena lays it out wide. Baker dribbling in, freshman on freshman. Baker on the right foot, slots it all the way across. Knocked down by Patton, and then King able to get a half clearance. And Salama runs onto it for SMU. Here comes Salama. Byers touches it back to Salama. Salama trying to play it to herself, but Hennessy backtracks to steal it.
Yeah, Salama had to slow up just for a second because Patton was coming hard, and Salama would have either run into her or had her feet taken out from her. And when she slowed up for just that half second for Patton, one of the other Horned Frogs was able to step in and steal it away.
Still in that spot where a single moment could give either team the lead. TCU certainly has had the better run of play. There's no doubt about that. Anytime you're up 9-1 in shots at the half, and at this point 11-2 in shots, you can clearly see that the Horned Frogs have been the better side so far, but it seems like SMU has showed some things here early in the second half.
They really have. You know, who knows what Nicole Nelson and the coaching staff said at halftime, but they have maintained some possession. It's been much more even in the second half through the first 12 minutes than it was through the first 45 prior to the intermission. But the Mustangs just seem a little more comfortable, a little more composed. They're not as flustered when they're under pressure, and therefore they've been able to string some passes together, get some transition through that midfield, and have created some chances up front.
Rousseau's free kick punched into the air. It stays alive. Byers. It ends up going off of a TCU Horned Frog. Is going to earn SMU a corner kick.
Yeah, that was Maddie Mooney who ended up playing it over the end line as Byers was closing in quickly behind her, setting up another corner for SMU.
Klatschke able to punch it out, but not fully out of the 18. And here comes the Brousseau kick to the top of the 6. Knocked down in the box, and Hennessy able to clear it. It stays in SMU possession. Bach to the top of the 18. Ungashik turning on it until she's a little bit winded. And also needs to get back in her defensive position. As SMU's able to keep possession here, Byers turns it up top to Salama, trying to work her magic. Eddy has that heavy right shot. Eddy testing Klatschko, and she is equal to it with a stab.
Eddy may have the hardest shot on the SMU team. She has scored a couple of goals this year from about that same distance. She can really give it a ride. And even there, her body momentum is going toward the corner flag, not toward the goal. She has more in there if she's able to really lean into it. She is a threat from well within a lot of the offensive third.
Eddy already with 3 goals this season to co-lead SMU. 7 Castaigne, who started the second half on the bench, comes on at the striker position here for Caroline Kelly. Kelly had some scoring opportunities in her time on the field. A little over 14 minutes gone in the second half. SMU and TCU scoreless. But SMU starting to buzz just a little bit. TCU trying to keep the pressure on, of course. Hartman loses it to Hennessy. Turns it back around, a single touch for Patton, and Horned Frogs able to play it into possession. And we'll watch this quick passing attack that you've been fawning over. Little 1-2 there as Baker tries to turn inside, but good job by Nieves to strip it away. And Bach slides her way into Oli Pena, and Bach is going to pick up a yellow as Pena goes down hard and may have taken a knee really to the midsection there.
I think she did, and I don't believe for a minute that Bach was trying to inflict any pain, but she's swinging for the ball and her foot hits Pena's foot, and by doing so her leg comes up, and you're absolutely right, her knee got Pena right in the midsection. That's the third time tonight we have seen a player go down with absolutely all of her wind knocked out of her.
Quick restart to get Diorio in space. Diorio takes the line, serves it across, and a clearance by King as it was behind the pressure. Pena, one chance, now a second, and this one is skied out of play.
That one ended up in the steeplechase pit behind the goal. And might never see that ball again.
Yeah, somebody dig that thing out. Oh, Ungashik nearly losing it along the back. And this new back line, in fact, neither of these center backs started the first game of the year in this position. Hartman or Ungashik. The duo back there to start the season for SMU, Abby Hampton and Mayu Inakawa. Inakawa not available right now. Diorio, more space. Heart-stopping moment. Diorio slithers inside, gets to her right foot and just misses, but she earns a corner kick. Diorio like a snake, just making her way through the defense.
Paxton Bach is lucky a whistle wasn't blown there, as she gave Diorio a bit of a tug on the way by, and then Sierra Cotillard got her foot on it just as it was crossing the end line.
This is volleyed back in. Ungashik on the header. Another header opportunity. Now it's on the ground for Hennessy. Hennessy attacked by Nieves. Pena throws it all the way across. Lots of space on that right side for Coppinger. Coppinger serves it in through the hands of Cotillard and just beyond the goal on the other side will mean a corner for TCU.
This was a cross, and Cotillard was right to try to get a hand on it as A.J. Hennessy was sneaking in by the back post. I don't know that Hennessy would have been able to pull that down as it was very high, but Cotillard wasn't sure exactly where she was and did the right thing to go up and make sure it was played out.
Brown coming in. Short pass to Hennessy, goes all the way across. Brown, the header down, now in the box, turning back on it. Castaigne, right there with her is Ungashik, and it is turned away by Cotillard. Wow, that's a really good play by Ungashik to stay with the junior Castaigne.
It is, because, I mean, everybody knows how good Castaigne is, and again, this is Ungashik's first game as a center back for SMU. It'd be easy to look up and see number 7 there and panic a little bit, but no panic at all from Ungashik.
Pena wins one into the box, and this is not going to count. A handball on TCU.
And there are a bunch of purple-clad fans who have come across the Metroplex for tonight's game. Some of them are a little frustrated now seeing 2 would-be goals waved off.
And the second time it's been in the back of the net. And the first time was by Memoli, who was offside. This second time, play had kind of halted after a whistle came, and then Morgan Brown put it in the back of the net after a handball. Ungashik, nice ball up to Nieves, just could not hold it, and Nieves has to foul Pena in that area. Keep her close. Pena's just a player that can destroy a game in the midfield or win it from the midfield as well. Just, we talk about box-to-box midfielders, and Pena's so offensively minded that maybe we forget sometimes that she has that capability as well.
Yeah, she's a very, very complete player, and Eric Bell wouldn't give her up for anything. She is, in some ways, she's kind of the heartbeat of this team.
Can TCU find that magic moment? Castaigne against Hartman. Castaigne turns to the edge of the area, and it's knocked away by Brousseau, but kept alive by the Horned Frogs. The serve into the box, headed away again by Ungashik. Sophie, or rather Bach, has it and is able to play it all the way out beyond the midline on that full clearance.
And that was a really nice play by Ungashik to clear that as she went up in the air and then had to turn her body.
Oh, Bach almost gave up a goal on the play as she was trying to pop it into the air, I think, believing Sierra Cotillard was closer to the goal. Let's see.
You see the long
here.
serve.
Well,
and Diorio is so fast, she gets right past Cotillard.
Card on Rudden. Third card on SMU. And obviously one that Paxton Bach wanted to have back, but sometimes you're just trying to get inside the head of a player and think, all right, what were they intending to do on a particular play? And
right, and
maybe you just kind of got caught in between thinking, I want to blast this. No, I want to give it back to my keeper.
And they work with each other every day in training, but you can't read each other's minds. So
Hennessy knocked down by Byers. And this is going to be an excellent opportunity for either Diorio or Hennessy to try to put TCU up on a free kick.
Diorio's lining up as the right-footed alternative, and now Hennessy is just bailing out. This will be Diorio. Sierra Cotillard has to be very quick and very careful seeing through that wall.
Diorio popping it off the post and in. You can't do it better than that. Bella Diorio puts TCU in front, 1-0.
Absolutely gorgeous goal. I think when she served it, Sierra Cotillard might have thought that this was a serve to a teammate streaking in by the back post, but that ball had a lot of spin on it. You see it curl up and over the wall, and it glances off the right post. There is not a goalkeeper on earth who is pulling that one down. That is as perfect a shot as you can have. Beautiful goal by Bella Diorio.
For Diorio, she had gone the first 21 matches of her TCU career without a goal. She has 3 in the last 2 games. But remember, she is a player that can score goals. She had 41 in one season for her Lockport club back in the day, and she's finally back into her goal-scoring form, and boy, do the Horned Frogs love it.
And some players just have that knack, right? They're in the right place, they're in the right at the right time. Obviously, she's got a cannon of a shot, and she has great wheels. But there's more to scoring goals than just being fast and being able to kick a ball with a lot of pace. She knows when to shoot, and as evidenced on that goal, her ability to bend the ball that was heading well wide of the cage, curled it in off that post. That is as pretty a shot as you will see.
SMU going into their bench, maybe feeling that their team might be a little bit tired, as Hummel is on for Paxton Bach. Also, you've got Peterson coming in for Nieves. And SMU also putting Kelly Gordon in the game for Eliana Salama. Meanwhile, TCU comes back with Abigail Cox as well. Under 23 minutes left in this matchup in Dallas, and TCU finally officially getting on the board with a Bella Diorio free kick that was picture perfect.
The Frogs may have been starting to wonder, what do we have to do for one of these to count? But what you have to do is you have to have a beautiful, perfect shot by Diorio.
Ball ricocheting off of Adam Hodzik. So SMU will get a restart here for Ungashik. Ungashik, that long vertical ball as SMU tries to figure out what is going to help them get the equalizer now. Eddie Diorio, finally Eddie called for it. And I see Eddie's frustration, not that she didn't commit the foul, but it did seem like Diorio just, with her ability, ended up kind of creating the contact on the play, and Eddie ends up getting called for it.
I think you're exactly right. We can talk all night about Diorio's foot speed, and it's legit. But it's the little things like that, the start and stop, and in this case, her ability to get up off the ground so quickly as to reinitiate that play. She did initiate the contact, and as you said, Eddie was found guilty of arriving a second late.
All in a dangerous spot for a moment. Peterson able to play it out wide. And now Abigail Cox on it. Rudden took it away for a moment, but Cox right back on it. Here's Castaigne driving it back post and just a little bit wide. Kota Yard gave it a dive, but could not put a paw on it. And Seven Castaigne a breath away from making it 2-0.
And this shot by Castaigne is exactly what I meant when I was talking about Diorio a minute ago. It's one thing to be fast and to have a powerful shot, and both of those players do have both of those attributes. But she was able to settle it with one touch and get the shot away so quickly that it's almost like adding speed to a shot because you really don't give the goalkeeper a chance to set her feet. Very, very quick shot, and you see why Castaigne is such an incredibly dangerous offensive threat for TCU.
TCU's won 5 of the last 7 matchups against SMU. SMU looking for some kind of equalizer, but TCU defense has been really solid, and what's been even better is the possession that the Horned Frogs have attained tonight, or should I say this morning, after that 3-hour rain delay. And Frogs have been in fine form despite that long delay and having to wait in that visitor's locker room. I wonder what you do during that 3-hour delay. Listen to music, play Duck Duck Goose.
Get off your feet. Absolutely get off your feet. Take care of your feet and your ankles. You can only get your ankles taped so many times. It's not just rest. It's protecting yourself and reducing the impact on your legs and your feet.
Castaigne driving in on Hartman. Castaigne looking to create, turns back to the middle, left-footed drive, and comes up just a little bit high. This is a TCU team that is offensively minded, and Seven Castaigne, who wears number 7 and scored 7 goals last season, is looking for yet another perfect shot.
When you think about it, is there any other number she could wear? She has to wear 7, doesn't she?
I think it would just be funny if she didn't. Just
have
ironic.
7 wearing 8 or something?
Right, exactly.
Yeah, I can see that.
Under 19 to play in regulation is Baker. Throw it in for the Horned Frogs. She's basically gone the whole way. She's a player that can run. 800-meter junior Olympic qualifier back in 2023. Next up for TCU, they go to Texas A&M. That will be on Thursday. SMU also has a game on Thursday against one of TCU's rivals, They will take on the Baylor Bears at home at 7 o'clock on Thursday, a game you can see here on ACC Network Extra. Ungeshit with the half clearance. Pena's right there, and she is everywhere on the field.
She is, and her ability to thread the ball through tight spaces has shown up time and time again. And on that pass, she slipped it through 2 defenders to find its target when it looked like there just wasn't any room. And that was not an accidental flick either. That was intentional and incredibly precise.
Baker cuts middle, looks down low. Brocious feeds it out. Diorio back to Brocious again. Brocious thought about the serve and said, sees Pena cutting in. SMU sees the opportunity and springs Salama, who is just back into the match. Salama has it blocked by the freshman, Morgan Brown. And Brown, who overtakes Salama, gets a huge, rousing ovation from the folks from Fort Worth who have stayed up late to watch their Horned Frogs in Dallas. Good contingent for sure.
Brown is listed at 5'9", and Salama is listed at 5'3", but when they were shoulder to shoulder, it looked like a lot more than 6-inch difference, as Salama was really leaning into Brown to try to hold the bigger defender off the ball, and in doing so, Brown just towered over her before finally shoving her to the ground.
I'd be in favor of remeasuring Brown for sure. I think part of it is she's got really long legs, Brown does.
So she looks tall.
She looks tall. She is tall, and she looks tall. Sophie King, maybe a chance for SMU. Looking to serve it across, but an aggressive play. Just seeing a little bit of space to cut in and make the play, the freshman Patton. And you got to salute the freshman for getting stuck in on that one.
You do, and if you're Eric Bell and the TCU coaching staff, you got to hold your breath for just a minute as Oli Pena gets up a little slowly and started stretching as if a cramp was in play. But then you can also let out a deep sigh of relief as Pena is jogging off the field. Got a little bit of a hitch in her gait, but she is such an important part of this TCU team. You never want to see any discomfort. Well, you never want to see any discomfort for any of the players, but especially a critically important one like Pena.
SMU with one shot at this one, and turning on it is Alvord. Alvord, a quick trigger there and trying to just find a spot, but winging it just wide.
And that may be how SMU's chances at finding an equalizer. If they can run onto a ball and hit a one-timer, maybe you catch Megan Plaschko not napping, but if you catch her a little bit off balance and she sees the ball but unable to react and shift her weight to the right direction. Not a bad take by Emma Alvord.
SMU had the takeaway for a moment, and SMU will have a throw-in, but TCU able to keep it from connecting for the Mustangs. This is a really athletic defensive team as well, I think, for TCU. You saw them collapse on Alvord there and really didn't give her a chance to do much when she did have the ball.
I think it even extends beyond the defense. I think this is just a fast, athletic team that is going to give a lot of teams in the Big 12 fits this year. There is speed all over the field, and again, as we discussed, they play fast. It's more than just stopwatch speed. This team plays very, very fast.
Picked third in the Big 12. Of course, it's a conference that's got BYU in it. Made it to the College Cup, and a conference that has the Texas Longhorns, who we have already seen this season, or used to, excuse me. It is 1:43 in the morning.
I get it.
I was trying to turn back the clock on you. I was just testing you. 14 minutes left to go with TCU up on SMU, 1-0. Chance to see another Big 12 team in Baylor on Thursday. Instead of the serve, putting on her left foot and then stepping right on it to take it across. Just a beautiful play by Patton, and on the backside, Diorio with some space, little one-touch in the direction of Baker, but a goal kick for SMU.
Good idea with that pass, and it's one that you can make in part because, as you described a moment ago, Baker can really fly too as a former track star, but even she wasn't able to track that one down.
SMU's giveaway, is it going to hurt them? Not here. Hartman takes it away, but look at the strength of Castaigne. Pushing down Hartman, coming up with the ball, and nearly mirroring what Diorio did to guide it in and bang it off the post for a goal. Now here's Diorio, serving it across. And Peterson able to play it back near midfield where Salama tries to step onto it. But once again, it's a Horned Frog tap a day. Here's Baker. Right-footed fling. And Sophie King continues to play solid defense against Cameron Patton.
Yeah, so steady on that outside. And when the Horned Frogs come at her in waves like that, there are times when the better play, the smart play, is simply to knock it into touch and allow your teammates to regroup.
Sophie King heard you.
From here, I doubt it.
Keep it here, White! Keep him here!
TCU has been leaning on SMU all game. Right now, it feels like SMU is trying to hang on for a more respectable result. But can a player like Eliana Salama figure out a way to get it done? How did Brown chase her down? That's amazing against the fast Salama. Gordon, a crossover. And a foul is coming. And in fact, not just a foul, but a card on Cameron Patton as she's issued a yellow with under 12 minutes left to play. And restart for SMU in a fortuitous spot. Brousseau will
get in between them.
stir the drink here with SMU down 1-0.
Patton called for the same thing as a couple other players tonight, just grabbing a fistful of jersey and hanging on as she got crossed up on that play. And the yellow card was well worth preventing a one-on-one with goalkeeper Megan Plashko.
And Brousseau just going after the goal herself. Coming up high. Brousseau, her goal this season came off a free kick against Texas. It was a lot closer than that one.
If you're a TCU fan, that is a very welcome sight. Oli Pena coming back on the field. She left for just a couple of moments. Maybe it was a cramp. In any event, very, very dangerous midfielder rejoins the lineup.
Megan Plashko with 27 shutouts in her career overall. 26 of those in her time at Minnesota. Fifth most in Minnesota history. Diorio making a name for herself in these last few games. Slots one in toward Castaigne, and an athletic play by Sierra Cotillard to scramble off the line and keep Castaigne from getting there.
That's a play by Cotillard where you have to make a decision quickly, and then you have to cover ground quickly because Seven Castaigne was coming in a hurry, and she was closing ground. If Cotillard didn't get there, Castaigne would have been able to tap the ball around her and just lay it in.
Again, this rivalry matchup tonight coming after a 3-hour rain and lightning delay here in Dallas. We got the men's game in to its completion. And man, Hennessy goes down really hard, landing on that left side. And it may have been the shot by the SMU player that brushed on the way by that caused the problem here.
You see Sophie King coming up, and in an effort to get between ball and player, letting it go out of bounds and thereby getting a throw in, she laid a shoulder and laid it with some vigor.
As you say quite often, it's a full contact sport.
It is, and Sophie King is a very strong, very tough player. we talk about defenders and midfielders who are, well, really anyone there's an element of fearlessness that some players bring to the game. Sophie King has it in spades.
While Eric Bell's players being attended to on the far sideline, he calls the team in, trying to protect this 1-0 advantage for the Horned Frogs right now. And, you know, this was a joint decision tonight. It was obvious that both coaches wanted to get this game in this evening. Didn't want to possibly drag it into tomorrow. Honestly, we had heard next Sunday as a possibility of a makeup date for this game if we could not get it in tonight, this morning, whatever you want to say, as it's nice to see Hennessy on her feet. But Bell wanting to protect this lead and not let it slip away on a night where his team has been dominant.
And he's got to be thrilled to see AJ Hennessy up on her feet. She has been terrific tonight. And look, Sophie King wasn't trying to hurt her. She was just trying to get between Hennessy and the ball, thereby getting the throw in for the Mustangs. But you're right. Coach Bell did take that as an opportunity to gather his troops and, you know, explain the situation. 10:41 remaining. It is still a 1-goal margin. Yes, the Frogs have had the better run of play and have heavily tilted advantage on the stat sheet. But as we've said many times, this is one shot away from being equal. So the Mustangs haven't had many shots, but they've had a couple of very good shots. And so he just wanted to make sure everyone's aligned right and understands their responsibilities to try to kill this game off.
And Hennessy's going to be able to stay in as she comes back in the match. SMU trying to figure out a way to just have one magic moment. There's this long ball by Peterson, really trying to hit a vertical pass. However, right back the other way, TCU's got a chance. Here's Hennessy just coming back into the game. Hennessy against Ungashik, cuts to her right. Ungashik with the block, and then she steers it away. Ungashik has had, all things considered, a massive game as a new starting center back for SMU.
Right. There's a difference between having the athletic ability and the desire, as opposed to also being able to turn that athletic ability and desire into effective defending. And yes, she has been playing in a holding midfield spot, which has a significant amount of defensive responsibilities, but this is a new role for her with this team. And Lydia Ungashik, I think, has been fantastic. And Nicole Nelson and the SMU coaching staff have to be thrilled with what they've seen from number 15, who you kind of forget is a freshman. She's one of a couple freshmen who Nicole Nelson says doesn't play like a freshman. She enrolled a semester early, so she was able to get participate in spring ball with the Mustangs, and she has acquitted herself beautifully tonight for SMU.
Yes, Tori!
Now, the first thing that Nicole Nelson told us about Ungashik is, you know, she came in the spring and she already looked like a junior.
Right.
And she looked like, you know, whatever, a junior college transfer, like she had been at another D1 institution, and she just has that professionalism about her, knows what to do. Obviously, she's going to go all 90 tonight and not quite able to help her team come up with a clean sheet, but when her team really needed some stability on the back end, she stepped up this evening.
Yeah, she's on a team that is being outshot 19-5. And wow. I think you could make a very safe argument that Lydia Ungashik is a major part of the reason why TCU only has 1 goal under its name on the scoreboard.
Fiorio called for a foul there. It's a stern talking to. No card pulled. Again, SMU still just a shot away. Liz Eddy trying to turn the corner here. Eddy pulls it back, feeds it across, settling it down in the zone, and turning on it is Byers. It's ricochet back toward Rudden. She serves it across, but eyes on it the whole way. You saw Platchko really zero in on that one and dive headlong to take it out of the air.
And Byers' shot from the top of the box, not a bad shot. Yes, she was 19, 20 yards away. Yes, her body was falling away from the goal, but you used the word ricochet, and if they're going to get an equalizer, that may be how it happens. It may be that one of the Mustangs has to blast a shot and hope it caroms off of whether it's an offensive teammate or a defensive player. Maybe a ricochet is the way you get the equalizer.
Yet another solid defensive play, although it ends up in a corner. But once more, Ungashik is there to slide underneath one of the better players on the field. And actually, it did go off of Diorio. My apologies. And it does end up being a goal kick for SMU after all that. So even better for Ungashik and what she was able to do along the end line.
And what a savvy play, too, because Diorio has the jets that she got around Ungashik, and Ungashik was able to pause for half a second, cut in behind Diorio, and then cut off the angle and slide in to knock the ball, not only knock it away, but knock it off of Diorio. Fantastic play by Lydia Ungashik.
Hey, one in front of the ball!
Ungashik commits the foul here. And Diorio on the restart. Remember, it was a free kick by Diorio. Not from the same spot. It was closer in, just outside the 18, where she curled one that hit off the far side post and went in. Here's a run by Hennessy. Slots it into 7, Castaigne. Castaigne, a couple shots saved, point blank. First one by Castaigne and then by Hennessy. And Sierra Cotillard got hit hard, and there is a card coming as well on Hennessy after Cotillard got kicked on the play. Wow.
Beautiful save on the first one, and then Hennessy with the second shot, and then here she pokes it out of Cotillard's hands, and you could hear some people maybe in the background on the microphone, some of the fans suggesting it should have been a red card. Definitely should have been a yellow. Once it's in the goalkeeper's hands, not only did she poke it out, which you're not supposed to be able to do, but then she inadvertently stepped on Sierra Cotillard's hand. Fortunately for the Mustangs, Cotillard seems to be okay.
Good takeaway by TCU. And that vertical pass by Pena to keep the pressure on that back line for SMU is guided away. Diorio throwing on the brakes. Diorio in a good spot. Diorio crosses it in. Again, it's Castaigne. Left it behind her for a moment. Now Pena has it, turning onto her left foot. Baker, she accelerates. Headed away by Ungashik. Now Nieves clearing it out of trouble. And this threatening Horned Frog team. Under 5 minutes left in regulation in Dallas. It almost kind of feels like a tied game right now, and SMU's just trying to prevent a goal at this point, but not that they could not put the ball in, but just with the way this team has survived to only give up 1 goal, they feel rather fortunate. Another giveaway. Here's Hennessy. And Ungashik takes it away. Ungashik looking for that vertical ball and maybe something that could turn the game. It'll be a quick throw in for SMU's Nieves, and Nieves touched it with her hands in play. Looked like she was trying to throw it, and then as she pulled it back, it fell out of her hands. And so on the handball, it goes back over to TCU.
I think she saw Sammy Nieves racing forward and started to turn to throw it toward her, and then realized Nieves had a defender right in her back pocket and tried to stop the throw. And in doing so, that's when it slipped out of her hand. And if you're the one throwing it in, you cannot be the first one to touch it, and she knew it.
And she at this point with a little over 3 minutes left, looking to clear some time off the clock here at Washburn Soccer and Track Stadium. Their team leading big. Peterson's got a good throw in.
So good that Amin Hadzig made her back up about 5 feet when she's, I don't know, 90 yards away from the goal she's trying to get to.
Can SMU find one possession that might result in a goal? Byers out in front, guiding it toward Kelly Gordon. Gordon has it knocked away, and it is going to be a throw-in for SMU, and much to the chagrin of Cameron Patton, who did not think that she touched it. And now here comes Peterson with that good throw to try to get it in the box. She's done it before. Peterson's throw comes up a little bit short of where she wanted it to go, but it's headed out by Gordon, and TCU will have the goal kick.
Peterson's got a pretty long throw, but it's different than some other long throws that are more line drives that can get into a box and carry them off of people. She can cover a lot of ground with it, but she has a lot more altitude to it. So it makes it, it gives the opposing team a better chance to set up and defend it.
Watch go to midfield. On that block out by Rudden. Chance for TCU to throw in at a minute and a half to play. TCU out shooting SMU 20-6 tonight. 5 shots on goal for TCU, 2 for SMU. I'll tell you, Sierra Cotillard, especially here late, has been really good. She had those 2 saves late to keep it a 1-goal game. It's that one incredible free kick by Bella Diorio is the difference in this one, as Diorio stands to pick up her 2nd game-winning goal of her career. 50 seconds left. Oli Pena plays it out to the corner to Diorio. Just in a time-wasting mode, and it ends up in a corner for TCU, and the Horned Frogs sense that another shutout is on the way, this time in Dallas. First match in Dallas between these two teams since 2019, and SMU 14-2 all-time here against TCU, but that's about to be 3 wins for TCU all-time here at SMU, as TCU has really owned this series the last 8 times the teams have played after SMU owned the first 29. That'll do it in Dallas. Bella Diorio's free kick is enough. And on a game delayed by 3 hours. And all kinds of squeegee work just to get on the field. And a night game that turned into a morning affair. The TCU Horned Frogs pick up the win to go to 4-1 on the season, a 1-0 victory.